day. Let me lose myself again. Give me something for the pain. Always trying to pretend that I'm not living just a lie. Broken heart and shattered lives. Let me go for one day. Let me lose myself. Oh, I knew how this would end. Oh, I knew that it would die, that we would come to this, that we would say goodbye. Someone help me see it. Someone help me free this feeling. Someone help me see it. Someone help me free this feeling. Don't wanna think about the past. I'm crying out behind a mask. So give me something for the pain. I wanna lose myself again. Please get out of my mind. Just get out of my sight. Let me go for one day. Let me lose myself. Oh, I knew how this would end. Oh, I knew that it would die, that we would come to this, that we would say goodbye. Someone help me see it. Someone help me free this feeling. Someone help me free this feeling. Someone help me see it. Someone help me free this feeling. Someone help me see it. Someone help me free this feeling. I've been thinking about you. Oh yeah. Oh, there ain't no one else that does the things that you do to me. That's why I get nervous. I try to be cool, but you see me the right way. Oh, and I see you too. I don't wanna push you farther away, no, I don't wanna play no games. I just wanna call, see if we're okay, babe. All I wanna ask you is, I don't wanna push you farther away, no, I don't wanna play no games. I just wanna call, see if we're okay, babe. All I wanna ask you is, are you down for love? Are you up for wanna be together, be together? Babe, I want your love. I'll be the one you trust. You're all that matters, all that matters. I got feelings about you. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh. Butterflies every time I'm with you. Oh yeah, yeah. I don't wanna push you farther away, no, I don't wanna play no games. I just wanna call, see if we're okay, babe. All I wanna ask you is, I don't wanna push you farther away, no, I don't wanna play no games. I just wanna call, see if we're okay, babe. All I wanna ask you is, are you down for love? Are you up for wanna be together, be what you want, baby. You and me in the sun. Know that I still be here when the day is done. So come a little bit closer, and I'll tell you what I feel inside. You know I'm gonna wait on you. I'm gonna wait on you. You know I'm gonna wait on you. Yes, I'm gonna wait on you. No one's gonna love you like I do. So glad that I found you. You're the missing piece, the last piece of the puzzle. I'm finally at ease. So when times are rough and the promises we make just seem so hollow and weak, and we're about to break, we have to remind ourselves, 'cause we know how we feel inside. You know I'm gonna wait on you. Ain't over till it's over. I'm gonna wait on you. I'm gonna love it till it's gone. You know I'm gonna wait on you. And the weight that's on your shoulder, I'm gonna carry that for you. So hear me when I say no one's gonna love you like I do. I'm gonna wait on you. I'm gonna wait on you. I'm gonna wait on you. You know I'm gonna wait on you. And the weight that's on your shoulder, yes, I'm gonna carry that for you. So hear me when I say no one's gonna love you like I do.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
From Haiti to Afghanistan, trauma, tragedy, and terrorism. Haiti suffering, reeling in the aftermath of an earthquake and a tsunami. Afghanistan suffering in the aftermath of the Taliban taking control over the country. But first, we need to discuss COVID-19. So we're on the clock with Georgia Fort.
Four Florida educators have now died from COVID-19. This after Governor DeSantis has banned the mask mandate in schools. Ben and I will break this down, but first I want you guys to take a look at the latest report on what's happening in Florida.
Four Florida educators working in that same school district where this fight is going on just died from the virus within 1 day of each other this week. That's what's going on. Now DeSantis is partially caving. His office saying, well, the threat was empty anyway. DeSantis doesn't even have the power to withhold those salaries, although that's what he publicly threatened. Politico says it's a tacit acknowledgement that he legally can't do what he was threatening to do, as you just saw in some of those clips. And DeSantis still says he won't allow schools at a local level to require masks, but he cannot financially retaliate against these precautions. Two school districts are already on their way to defying DeSantis, regardless of what the courts decide. We are seeing the beginning of a reckoning. Where it goes from here.
So now we have Governor DeSantis, who has issued this ban on mask mandates, leaving 4 educators dead. And there were some empty threats. DeSantis made to try to discourage people from mandating masks. And we just heard there in that latest report, he doesn't even have the power to fulfill those threats. And now schools are looking at defying, the mask mandate or the ban on the mask mandate.
Yeah. I think one of the things that we have to take in consideration is that Ron DeSantis knows full well that while he did not have the power to execute that threat, the impact of that threat would be more concentration of children and students into classrooms. And so Ron DeSantis is literally a part of the death cult that is getting people killed. And I would hate to be a politician when a parent realizes that the reason their child is not with them for Christmas is because they were the politician that lied and gave the American people the false sense of security when we are facing a worse. The Delta variant is doing so much more damage than last year. And yet we're acting as though we don't know what's going on. And that's because we have political leaders like Ron DeSantis.
And there's something to be said, I think, as the governor, who's overseeing an entire state, issuing orders that contradict best practices recommended by the health department. I mean, because he's totally going against the advice of the CDC, the advice of the Florida Health Department, and really out there on his own, saying that parents deserve to have a choice. But if one parent, if their choice is going to leave an educator dead, why would we allow parents to have that choice? If one parent's choice to not have their child wear a mask is going to leave another student dead, why would we give them that choice?
Because we put this absurd it's not as though Republicans are actually concerned with choice. Let's be sure, right? That's the red herring. They don't care about choice anymore. In this situation, they do a woman's choice over her body. What they care about are their donors. What they care about is the fact that they need these children to be in schools so parents can go to work and parents can go to consume, so that their investors and that their donors can make their quarterly profit margin. So it literally, what you're saying is absolutely the case. What they're trying to do makes no sense, except when you look through the lens of them doing what's in the best interest of capitalism versus the people.
Now, I want you guys to hear from Molly Jong-Fast. She's an editor at the Daily Beast. I thought her perspective on this was very interesting. And also, Ben, now we're hearing more people in the media landscape talk about this. Usually, those of us who work in the media space don't really take a side, so to say, because you're supposed to be neutral and you're supposed to tell both sides of the story. But I think it's become very clear with COVID-19 here, there's not two sides to this story. This is another case where there's right and there's wrong. Take a listen at Molly here.
That is depressing. And Molly, you wrote a piece for the Daily Beast about Republican governors like Ron DeSantis in Florida, Greg Abbott in Texas, who have been railing against stricter COVID protocols, even as cases surge. And you say, we'll put this up on screen, it took a lot of stupid to get Florida and Texas to this dark place, which is why the MAGA propagandists are trying to suggest, without much evidence, that this is about an unvaccinated wave at the border, when it appears to be about unvaccinated Americans in a country with enough vaccine doses to go around, harming their own health and helping spread the virus and helping it continue to mutate in the process. At what point do voters wake up and say, hey, maybe this has more to do with all the anti-public health rhetoric coming from our elected officials, Molly?
I don't know. I mean, you have a Republican Party that's running contrary to public health, right? They're against things like masking and vaccines, which are really simple things. You have the rest of the world dying for a COVID vaccine. You have America literally drowning in vaccine. And Republicans like, Ron DeSantis and, Greg Abbott are just, kind of trying to poke holes in the vaccine, making, mandates against masking. I mean, it's just insane. And you see, if you look at history, the times when government has gone against public health during a pandemic, it never ends well.
Yeah.
It never ends well. It never ends well. And that's kind of, it feels like where we're headed right now.
Absolutely. It feels as though we're in the worst timeline imaginable, where the people who are in charge are dead set on getting as many people killed as possible. Let's be sure, America, 630,000 people did not have to die. And right now, the number of people who are dying every day, we're getting close to 1,000 people a day who are dying. They literally did not have to die because the majority of them are unvaccinated, some 99%. But by them being unvaccinated and the mask mandates being challenged and all of the ignorance that's going on in our media and our political leaders, we are faced with the proposition of being in this pandemic for years to come. And that is something that we need to really take in consideration when it's time to get rid of these people. I'm trying to say it as nicely as possible, but we have to get the sociopaths out of power.
And I'm looking at the numbers here. They're updated daily. Yesterday, 43,000 new cases. Compared to on Friday, 187,000 new cases. And what I'm seeing as I've been following these numbers, I followed them very closely at the very beginning of the pandemic, and then it just got to be overwhelming. But once the variants started circulating, I started paying attention to the numbers again. And one of the patterns I've noticed is during the week, the numbers skyrocket when people are going back to work, when kids are going to school. And then over the weekend, they go way down. So, comparison on Friday, 187,000 new cases in comparison to Sunday, 43,000. That's just a fraction of the cases. And that's what we realized during the lockdown, was that you could really curve the numbers by asking people to just simply stay at home. And so to see these numbers on the incline again, this is it's parallel. It's parallel to the beginning of the pandemic, the way that these numbers are spiking. So why government isn't moving towards another lockdown? Not that I'm in favor of it or I want it, but if it's going to save lives, don't you think it's something that we should consider?
Absolutely. Listen, this gross idea of individualism during a pandemic is probably going to get 1 million Americans killed. I don't wish that. I don't hope that. But if we cannot come together and do some simple things that are a mild inconvenience to us, like staying home, wearing a mask, getting a vaccine, those simple things, if we don't have enough collectivism in us, enough tribe left in us to do, and black folks especially, listen, I do care about white folks and humanity in general, but the rate of black people who are getting the vaccine is terrifying. We have to take care of ourselves when we're living in a system that's so absurd that the political leaders are sending their followers to the slaughter like sheep.
You know, Ben, and we, America, we're leading in the amount of new cases. When you compare the amount of new cases that we have to the amount of new cases across the world, this is definitely not something that we should be proud to be number one in. And the scientists, the medical professionals, they've laid it out there. The vaccine works. They've laid it out there. Wearing a mask works, staying at home works, social distancing, all of these things. But yet still we have government officials who continue not even to just go against that, but to see DeSantis ban the mask mandate. And Florida is leading America in the amount of new cases. And so we shouldn't be surprised about that. But at some point, you know, I'm hoping that there is intervention by the Biden administration because people are dying from the negligence of our political leaders. In Minnesota, right where I am, our kids haven't gone back to school yet. I know in the South, a lot of the kids have already started to go back to school, but we continue to have these conversations about what are our options, you know, to not have to have our kids in a classroom where we know even here where there's not a ban on the mask mandate, how many of these kids are really going to be wearing their masks the entire time they're in school anyways? It's hard enough to get them to keep their mask on just when you're at the grocery store, let alone sitting in a classroom for 8 hours. That's right. And, you know, the last thing I'll say here is I was talking to a good friend of mine yesterday. She just gave birth to her baby. The baby is about 10, 11 days old. She's not vaccinated. Oh. And she has a 13 and a 15-year-old who's also not vaccinated. And it terrified me because she's got this brand new baby, family traveling in from out of state, flying in. I don't know if they're vaccinated, but just the fact that her baby is now in this very vulnerable situation, living in a household full of people who are not vaccinated. So yeah, there's still a lot of people out here who are choosing not to get vaccinated. And you guys should check on your friends. And we had a very serious conversation, you know, about her choice with her children, even going back to school at 13 and 15, not being vaccinated and being around all of those kids. Because her as an adult, you know, she's doing her meetings by Zoom. She's not going out much. So she's still kind of operating under the same premise of being in a lockdown. But her kids are about to be around 300-400 other children, some who may be vaccinated, some who may not. And so her household now is going to be at higher risk, and her baby who cannot get vaccinated, right? So, man, there's all of these different components and variables. And my thought to her was just, hey, even if you're not comfortable getting the vaccine yet, at least go to, you know, Whole Foods or GNC or somewhere that sells herbal supplements and start to give everybody immunity boosters. Because that way, if you get it, at least your body has what it needs to be equipped to fight it. But that still doesn't mean that you might not get hospitalized, right? So all of these different variables, Ben, I just, you know, that situation there this weekend really took me back and really, it was kind of hard to confront.
I vacillate back and forth between angst with parents who may not have all the information that they need because the information is out there. But I don't take that path because our system is designed specifically to keep us from getting the information that we need by keeping us in silos, by keeping us so busy, and then the government provided a false sense of security. That's what I really want to land the plane on. Parents who are sending their kids back to school are doing so based on the false sense of security that came not only from the Trump administration, but also from the Biden administration, from Democrats and Republicans. I don't care what your political affiliation is in this. If you are a political leader and you led to the children going back to school, a pox on your house, because children are dying. And parents are trying to decide, how do I balance feeding my kids with keeping my kids in the day when my job is also requiring me to go back to work? Because there's so many people who don't even have the option of homeschooling because they're considered essential workers. Well, to that end, America has made the perfect conundrum where parents can't take care of their kids unless they put their kids' life at risk. And we're going to see the aftermath of that if this continues. But I hope, Georgia, that parents have seen what happened last week in the South and will refuse, absolutely refuse. I don't care about education can come. It will wait. It will be here. They can't get an education if they're dead.
That's true. There was a protest that we talked about last week where it looked like hundreds of people showed up saying that their child, their choice, basically threatening anybody who was saying that masks should be worn in schools. Very tense time. What we're learning now is potentially most of these people who were here at this protest were not even a part of the school district. I want you guys to take a listen to the County Teachers Union president. She was interviewed about the protesting that happened in her county and said that there were a lot of different signs, a lot of different observations she made that led her to believe that these people who are showing up, who are saying we don't want masks in the school, are not even a part of the school districts where they're showing up at.
How do you deal with that?
Well, they've come through our school board meetings a couple times. And, to be frank with you, Jim, I believe that they're not all parents. I believe it's a paid group that's out there. I saw some of them with flyers from the very, right-wing side, and they keep, having that same narrative. And when you try to rational with them or reason with them and just talk about, where their children go to school, they openly admit that their children don't even attend our Broward County Public Schools. They didn't know the names of our board members. They didn't know the name of our superintendent.
So people are just showing up, almost like a protest caravanning to different school board meetings, causing a ruckus and posing as parents from the district saying we don't want our children to have to wear masks. Meanwhile, the real parents from the county of the real students who are going to be in the classrooms that are going to be affected by the decisions that are made by this school board meeting are sitting there and their voices aren't even being heard.
That's right. That's right. And that's the point. That's the plan. The entire agenda is to create a sense of consensus. It's manufacturing consent, not in the sense of the media where we normally consider that prospect, but it's the paid trolls that are organized to go around the country to make it seem like there's a national consensus against a mask mandate. I just want to pause and say the absurdity of it all. Put a damn mask on. All of these raggedy white supremacists who have a vested interest in undermining the stability of the United States because they see that the United States does not serve directly white supremacy only. It does serve white supremacy. But we saw on January 6th, the white supremacist channel in this country has gone to the point where they are willing to destabilize this country very directly through violence, through force, through insurrection, or through killing as many people as they can with the pandemic. And this is what they are doing. They are paid agitators going around the country in order to forward a right-wing agenda. And they see killing people in this pandemic as a viable path to destabilizing this country.
And I think that these are the same people who were at the Capitol on January 6th.
That's right.
The level of organization and their communication with one another to organize, to mobilize, and travel from city to city, county to county to these school board meetings is very parallel to the way that they organized to be in DC at the same time, the same place, and they were all on one accord. So I was not surprised to hear the teachers president of the union there saying that she saw flyers for the right wing. But the question now that we should be asking ourselves, even outside of the pandemic, is what are they up to next? So if January 6th was, the plan for attacking the presidential election, and this is how they're responding to the pandemic, they're not going anywhere. These people are continuing to organize. They're continuing to plan. And then they're not only just trolling on Facebook anymore, they're showing up in real life.
Right. Just like anyone who was around or remember the Tea Party, that was not an authentic, organic movement. It was paid. It was astroturfed. I just really need people to understand what we're dealing with. Here's the score. The people in power are either incompetent or directly complicit with the mass murder of 630,000 Americans who did not have to die from a pandemic. And we are going into, honestly, people are calling this the fourth wave. If you've been tracking it, I think it's really just a second wave. And it's certainly the wave of stupidity, because this is a wave that could have been avoided by people getting the vaccine.
Absolutely. And people who say it's the fourth wave, I think if you look at the numbers, you can see that there is, when there was an incline, there was almost 3 downturns so that it went back up. So that could count as why people are, saying that this is the fourth wave. But when you look at those numbers going down, those numbers went down in direct correlation with the lockdown.
That's
Again,
right.
I didn't enjoy being locked in my house, but I do think that we have a responsibility to be a part of the solution. That's and right. So when this all passes, if we're not a part of the solution, we have to acknowledge, Ben, like you said, we are a part of the problem. We've contributed to more than 600,000 people being killed. And then now when you start to see the increase in the amount of deaths among children, and to know that we're contributing to that. I posted last week about, and I don't post much about COVID. If you followed me throughout the entire pandemic, it wasn't something I talked a lot about. And I've been talking about it more because it's been impacting our children. And I think that we adults, parents, have a responsibility to ensure their safety in the world.
That's right.
But I made a post about it this last week, and one of the people who support me made a comment in regards to the 94,000 new cases among children. And she says, well, last year at this time, there were 200,000 cases among children. I don't know where she got her statistics, so I'm not 100% sure if that's actually accurate information, but let's just say it is. If that is accurate, should we feel good? Should we feel good about 94,000 children having COVID? Should we feel good about sending our kids to school? Because last year, if there were 200,000 cases and kids weren't even in school, there's 94,000 cases now, and all the kids aren't even back in school. And despite that, we're sending them back to school. So I was grappling with, like, what was the point? What is the point that you're trying to make here? Are you trying to say that we're better off this year because there's only 94,000 cases? And to me, it doesn't make sense, because that number is only going to double, if not quadruple, when we see the rest of America sending their kids back to school within the next month.
That's fascinating, because I've seen so many people come up with ridiculous lines like the one your supporter commented. And I think it's a way of people trying to find any path possible to not get angry, to not get outraged, to justify what's going on as if it is something that is normal. There's nothing normal about 94,000 children getting COVID-19 in a single week when it can completely have been avoided. There's nothing normal about 630,000 people being dead. We should be angry. There's so many things to be angry about that we have to compartmentalize. But I don't see that we should, the number one issue that we should be confronting right now is protecting our children. Why? I don't even know that I don't even understand why I have to fix that sentence to come out of my mouth. This should be natural. This is a primal, maternal, paternal instinct to protect your children. And the government, along with so many other people who are actively trying to undermine life itself, they have put us in a position where children are going to be dying over the next few weeks. I just don't understand. No, I do understand. I just realize it is so much easier for us to excuse away our anger so that we don't have the appropriate response. But the appropriate response to our children being killed, I digress.
You know, I just hope that the real citizens of Florida, not the ones who are caravanning and showing up at school board meetings, but the real citizens. I hope the real citizens of Florida take a long, hard look at who they elected to be their governor, because I think he's made some very poor decisions that have cost people their lives, children, elderly, educators. 4 educators died from COVID this week, sending kids back to school. Ben, you and I, we've been talking about this now for the last 2 or 3 weeks, talking about the implications of sending children back into the classroom. And we didn't talk much about the impact that has on educators, the teachers, the janitors, the people who work in the cafeteria, the principals. People now are on the front lines. Our educators are essential workers now. They're on the front lines of this pandemic because they're going into schools full of children who are not old enough to be vaccinated. And so every single day when they go in there to educate our children, they're putting their life on the line so that your child can have an education. The least thing that you could do is send your child to school with a mask. But I do hope that the citizens, the real citizens of Florida, take a look at their governor and see what he's doing. And it might be time to ask him to step down. I went to his website. I'm not sure if we're able to pull it up. I just kind of threw it in there. There's a screenshot of his website where he's selling merchandise. He has T-shirts and stuff like that on his website, but he also has a beer can holder that says, "How the hell am I going to be able to drink a beer with a mask on? Governor Ron DeSantis."
This is what happens when you... I'm sorry. Go ahead, Georgia.
Look at this. Look at this. He's selling cup holders. I know I just took a quick screenshot from my phone, so I know it's not the best one, but you can head over to his website and see it, rondesantis.com. He's selling cup holders for your beer cans, you know, when you go to the ball game or when you're hanging out with your friends in the backyard. How the hell am I going to be able to drink beer with a mask on? Governor of Florida, people, right there at his finest.
This is the best that white supremacy can do. I feel bad for you all, but I feel even worse for all the families that are going to die because whiteness in this country is so committed to itself that it will elect the village idiot over and over again. Donald Trump, village idiot. Ron DeSantis, village idiot. Marjorie Taylor Greene, village idiot. And sociopaths who are more than happy to see your children die. And I guarantee you, every one of those persons that I enlisted, they're vaccinated and they won't be around someone without a mask, but they want your children to be.
Ben, you know, I feel like we could go on and on about this. And, you know, frankly, it just really makes me upset. And it makes me upset because I still haven't sent my children back to school, but we have like 2.5 more weeks before our kids go back to school here in Minnesota. And seeing the way that things are playing out in Florida, I'm getting anxious, you know. I'm getting anxious. I am not the parent who can homeschool. That is not my gift. Bless those who are able to take that on. And so we're scrambling, trying to figure out what are the other alternatives. What I learned here in the city that we're in is that the St. Paul School District is actually certified to do online learning. So this might be something, if you're watching and you're concerned about your children as well, check and see if your school's certified to do online learning anyways, like outside of distance learning, because some schools are certified to do school online. And so if your district is certified to do that, or if you have a neighboring district that's able to do that, that way you won't have to wait for the distance learning option to be mandated, but you can opt in to do school online without needing the government to do the right thing. Right. So we're kind of hoping for that here. Our child, she doesn't go to the public school system. She's been at a charter school system. So we're looking to see maybe if we can switch her back just for that reason. It's tough.
It is.
It's really tough. All right, you guys, that's all for On the Clock this morning. Stick around for more on the Benjamin Dixon Show.
Good morning, y'all. God dang it. Coffee went down the wrong pipe. Good morning, everyone. Make sure that you stay tuned. We got one coming up on the Dixon Show. Shout out to Georgia Fort for joining us this morning on the clock with Georgia Fort. Good morning, Georgia. Good morning, Brother Ben. Good morning, everyone. Get your tea, your coffee, whatever it is you need to get your morning going, y'all. It's going down the Benjamin Dixon Show. Let's get it.
Making you move, it sure looks good. Playing it cool like you know you should. Blowing a smile like one of a kind. And I can't get you off my mind. I'm running too hot, I need to cool me down. I'm flying so high, I don't see the ground.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm having a Monday today, bro. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Shout out to everybody in the chat room. Go ahead and get your coffee, tea, whatever it is you need. Good morning, y'all. Happy Monday.
Maybe we can't get any higher, but if you like to take a ride, we can discover what we're hiding. Taking your time and I sure don't mind. But every inch of my body's getting wild. The way that you move is like a love machine. Come in my king and I'll be your queen. I'm running too hot, I need to cool me down. I'm flying so high, I don't see the ground. I'm running too hot, I need to cool me down. I'm flying so high, I don't see the ground. Baby, you set my soul on fire. Every morning and every evening. And maybe we can't get any higher. But if you like to take a ride, we can discover what we're hiding.
Tell me what it is, don't tell me what it ain't. They try to throw salt, it just made the pressure raise. Going through a phase, gotta get myself out it. Don't talk about it, boy, they said you gotta be about it. So I be trying to face the world head on. Front seat riding, cruising down the meadows. Pedal to the meadow, cool breeze blowing down the windows. Calm trees, blowing trees, get that boy some hedgeroom. On the interstate in traffic, but I swerve out. What's the moves for the night, what's the word?
Shout out, brother Chuck Diesel. Happy birthday, brother Chuck. Y'all dropped your birthday birthday cakes, candles, lions, hearts, fires, smokes, everything in the chat room for our brother this morning. Happy birthday again, Brother Chuck Diesel. I got something coming up for you later on. You know, it's going to be like a beat of a song, but it's going to be for you, bro. Okay, happy birthday, Chuck Diesel.
You out for lunch, I'ma get you drunk, yeah, filling on your buns. Licks in the blunt, I got ash in my cup. All these girls showing up, but I don't give a fuck, cause you the one I want, girl, you the one I want. Yeah, you the one I want. Girl, you the one I want. Hey, come and show me love. Shorty wanna be a rider, and I'm feeling high, I can't deny it. She a bad joint named Maya, and when I seen her, man, she look fire. She got me feeling higher than a sour, so I'm tryna feel how I feel inside her. I asked her what she doing, she like nada, so she just chillin' my get up in the shower.
She say, don't tell me to drop no cake in this chat this morning,
I just wanna live like a Kuna and Matata.
I forgot I gotta be specific with y'all. I gotta be specific. Not specific, but I gotta be specific.
Always bragging when they got up in they wallet. Ain't no really telling if we let her see tomorrow. Get it on my own, I ain't really tryna bar. So I stay fly, gotta dress up in designer. Tell me what it is.
Marcus, I wish no.
What you want from me? What you want from me?
All right, y'all. It is time for more of the Dixon show, y'all. So here we go. Stay tuned. Let's get it. Let's go. Good morning, y'all.
Mr. Speaker, members, I rise today really with a very heavy heart. One that is filled with sorrow for the families and the loved ones who were killed and injured this week. Only the most foolish and the most callous would not understand the grief that has really gripped our people and millions across the world. This unspeakable act on the United States has really forced me, however, to rely on my moral compass, my conscience, and my God for direction. September 11th changed the world. Our deepest fears now haunt us. Yet I am convinced that military action will not prevent further acts of international terrorism against the United States. This is a very complex and complicated matter. Now, this resolution will pass, although we all know that the president can wage a war even without it. However difficult this vote may be, some of us must urge the use of restraint. Our country is in a state of mourning. Some of us must say, let's step back for a moment. Let's just pause just for a minute and think through the implications of our actions today so that this does not spiral out of control. Now, I have agonized over this vote, but I came to grips with it today, and I came to grips with opposing this resolution during the very painful yet very beautiful memorial service. As a member of the clergy so eloquently said, as we act, let us not become the evil that we deplore. Thank you.
That is California Representative Barbara Lee back on September 14th, 2001, as she rightfully predicted the what we're seeing happening in Afghanistan. The war that seemed to never end finally has come to an end, and we're joined this morning by Captain Anthony Barnes and independent journalist Georgia Fort, because I want to dig into this a little bit more. And Captain Barnes, I want to thank you for joining us again this morning because of your experience and your expertise in this field. In fact, you were giving counsel at the highest levels of the government during 9/11. Could you speak about that very briefly in terms of that and how it all kind of led to where we are now in terms of Afghanistan?
Thank you, Ben. It's my pleasure to be with you again this morning. During the events of 9/11, 2001, I was active duty, a commander in the Navy. My position was the Deputy Director of Presidential Contingency Programs. And on that day, I found myself as the most senior military member in the White House during those events as they unfolded. And so all of my immediate chain of command was out of town, some with the president in Florida, some at an event in New York, and some participating in a exercise in Nebraska. But I found myself with Condoleezza Rice and with Vice President Cheney and some of the senior members of the White House team in the secure, undisclosed location in the White House during those events as they unfolded.
And so now let's fast forward now some 20 years later. And there has been, there's so much here, so much for us to unpack. President Biden made it clear that he had every intention of bringing the troops home. Donald Trump made plans to bring the troops home. Barack Obama announced in his speech as president that he wanted to bring the troops home. And we're going to unpack this throughout this entire half hour. But what are your initial reactions to our reaction as the American people, the media, politicians, as we see the images coming out of Afghanistan as the Taliban very easily takes back control over their nation, over that nation, rather?
Well, I think it's important to begin at the beginning. Let's talk about why did we go into Afghanistan in the first place? It happened so long ago. It's many people have forgotten about why did we go in there? What were we doing there? And so after the events of 9/11, it became clear to us that Osama bin Laden was at the root of the attack on America. We went into Afghanistan because that's where the stronghold of Al Qaeda was. Now we have to remember, as this thing unfolded, there are so many different factions of this that we were fighting against. ISIS and various other warlords of Afghanistan that didn't want us to be in there in the first place. So we went in there to find the source of the attack on America. We knew that Afghanistan were harboring Al Qaeda at the time. And that's why we went in there to try and find Osama bin Laden. The problem that I have with the beginning of this was the stated objectives were not clear. Am I breaking up on you?
Well, you were a little, but we did get that one of your number one problems was that there was not a clear agenda, purpose, and there was the objectives were not clear. Go ahead, George.
The objectives were not clear. And in the military, when you have unclear objectives and it's not well known what it is your mission clearly stated, that's right, these kind of problems exist. It comes down to, when do you know when you've gotten where you're supposed to be? It happened in Iraq, the second Iraq, the first Iraq. We had very clearly stated objectives. We knew what we were going to accomplish. And we had an overwhelming force. One of the very basis tenets of war, don't go into a war that you don't have a clear advantage, overwhelming advantage from the beginning. So that's why in 100 hours, we marched in, went right down to Baghdad, accomplished the mission, and it was a very easy and simple operation. Now, the second time we went in there, not so much. Right. Not nearly as overwhelming of a force and not nearly as clearly stated objectives as well. And that's why being in Iraq was protracted as well.
You know, and I appreciate that context, because I feel like so much time has passed. A lot of people have not followed the international news landscape to know how we got to where we are today. And so I'm curious if you can connect that backstory with where we are today and what we're seeing play out right now.
Well, I think, as President Biden has very clearly stated, you know, he's the fourth president to have to deal with this issue that was started by a Republican regime. Bush 43 put us in there. I think rightfully so. There's a difference between playing a home game and playing an away game. And because the terrorist organizations were located in these foreign countries, we have to go and interdict them where they are. Otherwise, it becomes a home game. And America doesn't ever want to have to play a home game. We don't want to see fighting in the streets of Philadelphia with Al-Qaeda forces going door to door. We don't ever want to see that. And that's not going to happen. But our military strategy is to interdict the enemy where they are. And so we have to go into places like Iraq and Afghanistan. But remember, historically, Afghanistan has been a warring kind of country for nearly their entire existence. There are it's because of these warring factions that have been there forever. Civilly, they haven't been able to have long periods of unrest. And then you hearken back to the 1970s, and I think 1978, 79 timeframe, when at the time Soviet Union invaded from the north. You think about, why did that happen? Why did the Soviets go in to this country and invade? Well, look at the history books. It'll tell you that that's the southern border of what at the time was the Soviet Union. And they were concerned about these, you can call them religious extremists, if that's what you want to call them. But those, that Muslim Islamic kind of a situation concerned them greatly. And so they felt they needed to protect their southern border. And so they sided with what they thought was the power group in the country at the time. And they also saw the U.S. gaining influence in Afghanistan, and that they were not going to settle for that. So they backed the group they thought was going to be successful. And as it turns out, even as powerful a military as the Russians or the Soviet Union at the time could not interdict their will on Afghanistan. So what does that tell you about history?
It repeats
Russia,
itself.
Soviet Union, and the U.S., the two most powerful, arguably China, but two of the most powerful military and governments in the world cannot interdict its force, its will on the people of Afghanistan.
I was thinking about this as we were discussing it behind the scenes, and we were talking about what would possess the. So there is the line of 9/11. But 9/11, and I think as you stated at the beginning of this, the lack of clear objectives going in and the mission creep, that's how it went from going to get Osama bin Laden as a result of 9/11 to being a 20-year war. But we also talked about there are other considerations why the United States was there beyond 9/11, and those implications money drives American imperialism abroad. And I'm curious as to at what point will our military infrastructure and I guess it's depending on our civilian leadership, determine that it is not valuable for America to go across the globe and try to be the international police when we have so many issues at home. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, that's it. I looked for information about the dollar cost of this war. And everywhere I looked, it's difficult to actually nail that down. Because remember, from 2003 to 2011, we were fighting both Iraq and Afghanistan wars at the same time. That's right. So it's kind of hard to say which dollar went to which conflict. But no matter how you shake it, the number is in the trillions, $2 to $3 trillion.
Wow.
To date, and understanding that unlike Vietnam and unlike Korea, this war was not financed out of the U.S. Treasury. Okay? This war is financed through borrowed money. So $2 trillion today, and by the time we pay back the interest on those loans to fund this war, $6 to $6.5 trillion by 2050 is what's expected this thing to cost. So I'd say a long time ago, overshot my threshold for what I think we should have spent in this mess. But, and as you and I talked, Ben, there's another aspect to this country that most people don't even consider. Why is Afghanistan such an important location, part of the world? I mean, it's like the size of Texas. But why is it that this little country is so important to the geopolitical and geoeconomical status of the world? Well, it comes down to resources. Mm-hmm. Rare earths, essential. One of which is essential to the production of lithium batteries, the production of computer chips that build what we call disruptive technologies.
That's right.
Laptops, mobile devices, GPS systems, precision-guided munitions, drones, satellites. All of these things make Afghanistan an incredibly important piece of territory, and in some cases you would think worth fighting for. I mean, that's a little bit off topic as to why we actually got in there, but we discovered all of these things, what a valuable resource Afghanistan is. And so who else in the world would be interested in these kind of resources for a country?
Anybody who needs, yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Perhaps China. Perhaps China.
I'm also thinking Elon Musk and any of these car companies, because lithium batteries.
That's right.
That's why Elon wanted to go into Bolivia, was for the lithium. And you're right. Not many people know that Afghanistan is rich in lithium.
Well, they possess 60 million tons of copper, 2.2 billion tons of iron ore, 1.4 million tons of rare earths. And that's all of those cerium, nidarium, aluminum, gold, silver, zinc, mercury, lithium. All of these rare earth naturally occurring minerals dominate this country. And so unbeknownst to many, China has already signed a 30-year, $3 billion contract with China Metallurgical Group to export copper out of Afghanistan. Afghanistan does not have the capability to mine these items, and China's already there. So you think it's in China's best interest to get us out of there? Sure.
Absolutely.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm sorry. I just want to say I'm going to be honest with you. Whatever the reasons, and there's a clip we have, Georgia, of Joe Biden discussing this before he got elected. These are one of the few times I actually have compliments for Joe Biden, because he's taking a lot of political heat to actually do what the last couple of presidents said that they were going to do, to actually bring that war to an end. And so let's run that clip real quick, because I honestly don't know if anyone truly expected this war to come to an end after 20 years. Let's take a look at Joe Biden discussing it.
The Washington Post quoted you this week in a story about Afghanistan, saying that back in 2010, you said to Richard Holbrooke, the then envoy, "I'm not sending my boy back there to risk his life on behalf of women's rights. It just won't work. Not what we're there for." Is that how you remember it? Or what did you mean?
What I meant was there's 1,000 places we could go to deal with injustice. I can think of 10 countries where women and or children and or people are being persecuted or being hurt. But the idea of us going to be able to use our armed forces to solve every single internal problem that exists throughout the world is not within our capacity. The question is America's vital self-interest at stake, or the vital self-interest of one of our allies at stake? And the fact that they have a system in Afghanistan, as they do in parts of Pakistan, as they do in parts of other countries, that we're going to send troops because there is not human rights are not being valued to the same degree that we are, that's a different story about sending combat troops. We should call it out. We should go to the United Nations. We should be saying this is what's happening. We should try to shame and get the world to put pressure on, and economic pressure on people who engage, countries that engage in that, but not send troops. That's what I meant. It is not sufficient That was my point. And the idea was, and I think Richard had said something like, well, women are being abused there. I said, they're being abused a lot of places around the world. Are we going to send our American forces all over the world to make sure that stops?
But then don't you bear some responsibility for the outcome if the Taliban ends up back in control and women end up losing the rights?
No, I don't. Look, are you telling me that we should go into China go to war with China because what they're doing to the Uyghurs, 1 million Uyghurs out in the West in concentration camps? Is that what you're saying to me?
It was your quote, sir. I was asking you.
No, I know. I gave the answer. Do I bear responsibility? Zero responsibility. Mm-hmm. The responsibility I have is to protect America's national self-interest and not put our women and men in harm's way to try to solve every single problem in the world by use of force. That's my responsibility as president, and that's what I'll do as president.
Georgia, I want to throw it back to you and to you, Captain Barnes, but I wanted to make sure that we got that in before the hour was up, because it's rare that you hear very clear language, anti-war language from someone who's in a position to be the president of the United States, and then to see them turn around and actually pull the troops down despite the amount of political pressure that's being placed on them in the aftermath. And I'm sorry for interjecting, Georgia. Go ahead.
Oh, no worries. I was just going to ask Captain Barnes if he felt like, our troops being in Afghanistan is a way for us to leverage some type of deal on all of those resources that are there. Because as it stands right now, we've been there for other objectives, maybe that aren't so clear. But do you think that the commerce side is a motivating factor for why we've stayed so long?
That's a great question. And I think that, in the back channel somewhere, it has to be.
Yeah.
But I haven't read, or I don't think it's in our best interest to advertise that as a reason. Remember, we got in big trouble in Iraq when people wanted to say, the naysayers wanted to say, we were only in Iraq because of the oil. Well, we were in Iraq for a whole lot of reasons that were much deeper and greater than oil. And so maybe, on the backside, that the resources might be a reason why it's in our best interest. It's definitely in our national interest to be there. But I don't think that any of the administrations have ever focused on the resources. But I got to believe that thinking about the resources and the strategic and geopolitical advantages of being there, it's got to be there somewhere.
Oh, yeah, I will take the risk of doing the speculation and make sure no one lays it at your feet, Captain Barnes, because I don't see us, especially after getting Osama bin Laden. I do see America being foolish enough to think that they're capable of nation building, despite the capitalist kind of implications underneath it and resources and exploitation of those resources. America has always thought that it had the ability to go around the globe and build democracies and to modernize nations despite having complete cultural incompetence. As I was reading the Washington Post Afghanistan papers, there's just the level of knowledge of that nation that we did not have. It was so arrogant of us to believe that we had the ability to go in and simply build that nation. So when you say there are other implications, I would say the second biggest implication is the fact that why does America think it has the ability to build other nations when we're struggling to build our own nation?
That's a great point. And I think that we're kind of wired that way as a country, to think that we can do all things great and small. But the reality is, we do a terrible job of using the military to try and do peacekeeping and nation building. Am I still there?
No, you're here. We're yeah.
You're frozen a little bit there. So, as I've said before, the reality is the military does a very poor job of patting folks on the back and holding their hands. When you use combat troops, to interdict kinetic warfare. We do our best job when you tell us to go put warheads on foreheads. That's what we do best, breaking things and destroying things. We don't do such a good job of what we have. Certain parts of our military are community service and going in with the lioness women and doing those kind of things for public affairs reasons. but we don't do a good job of that. We are at our best when war troops are used to wage war, not to nation build and peacekeep and all those other things that we're not nearly well trained at doing.
I appreciate you saying that, because there's so many volumes of books about America spreading democracy. And we see that after 20 years of investments, and you said to the tunes of trillions of dollars that are spent in Afghanistan, we see now that the United States does not do nation building well. And as you put it, we go in and we break things. We do that well. Yeah.
That's right. That's what our war machine, we have the best war tools there is, the best airplanes, the best ships, the most accurate laser guided and satellite guided weaponry. You know, we can put a missile through the third window on the fourth floor of the 8th building on the street. We can do all those wonderful things. But the reality is, when you look at this country, look at these clips. These guys are fighting in Toyota pickup trucks with machine guns mounted on the back of the bed of the pickup truck. So that is so low tech. Sometimes you almost get the feeling that our high-tech weaponry is too sophisticated to address this kind of. These guys are walking around with rocket-propelled grenades, with a shoulder-fired bazookas, and how do you knock that out with a laser-guided weapon? Besides, your laser-guided weapon costs you, $600,000 a piece, and this guy's round on a shoulder-fired weapon is about $60 a piece. So, I mean, look at that disparity. There's just a problem when you have to face this kind, and we're not well suited. This kind of warfare, which is not like the guerrilla warfare of the Vietnam era, where they're hiding in bushes and trees. These guys are hiding in caves and stuff. And those caves, the sophisticated group of caves and series of caves, make it very difficult to totally knock out that entire system. And so the technology difference is amazing.
Well, I know we are preparing to wrap up, but really quick, just one last question. And I agree with both of you. I don't think that we go into other parts of the world and do nation building well. It puts me in the mind frame of colonizing. I think America has clearly, historically taken on the role of colonizing different countries. But Captain Barnes, with everything that's happening in Afghanistan right now, current day, how is it going to impact America?
Well, let's talk.
Do we still have Captain Barnes?
Am I still there?
Yes, you're here.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about it from two different standpoints. Let's talk about the military members. I mean, my brothers and sisters that fought this war and lost 2,500 of their comrades and shipmates in this war can't help but feel that it was not a victory. I'll go as far to say it was a defeat, okay? The only war we really in history has ever lost was the Vietnam War. This was never declared as a war. Congress never signed war powers in this war. So it's not a lost war. It's a lost campaign or a lost whatever you want to call it. But the brothers and sisters that lost a guy or a gal on their right or left see this as a defeat. What about Joe Public, American on the corner every single day? How does the American people view this? Can they view it as a victory because no additional attacks on our soil since 9/11 has happened? And we've interdicted the enemy where they lie, and we cut off the Taliban. Well, there's no more Al-Qaeda in mass, but the Taliban is still there. ISIS is unknown, reduced or defeated quantity. So there's been some victories along the way. But when you look at the cost of this thing, I don't think anybody can look at this as a victory in terms of what it cost us in resources. And now you turn on the news and you see us running with our tail between our legs, evacuating our embassy with helicopters the same way we did in Saigon years and years ago. You know, the thing that has to stick out to you is what was the error here? And the error here was not realizing that these people were not going to defend themselves despite the billions of dollars we spent establishing their police force, establishing their military, and giving them equipment. We never expect them to throw their guns down and run like a bunch of scared kittens when the Taliban came into town. There was, I don't care, the best military minds and the best civilian diplomacy minds in America would never have expected that the Taliban would just march into Kabul and continue where they left 20 years ago. So this was a defeat, but I'm not willing to blame the administration or the statisticians for not realizing that Afghanistan was not capable of defending itself after we put them in a position to do so. So these horrific pictures you're seeing, and you know, I saw pictures this morning on the news of the airport being overrun. Right. and the airplanes taking off with people chasing behind it and everything. That's ugly PR. But you know what? We safely are evacuating our embassy personnel and our Americans out of that country, and we're better off for it not being there anymore.
Before we let you go, just a really simple question. Based on everything that you've ascertained, the next president that comes in talking about peacekeeping, nation building, particularly in that region or anywhere in the globe, what is your gut instinct? Because I know we can't say futuristic wars won't happen, but what lesson would you like the next president to learn? And our elected officials to learn about unleashing the American war machine under the auspices of nation building or peacekeeping. What advice would you give the next administration based on what's happening in Afghanistan?
I'd say we got to go back to the basics. You don't go into a country without an overwhelming force, without the support of your allies, and without clearly stated objectives that once you accomplish them, you leave. Unless your intent is to be an occupying force, and we never intended to occupy Iraq or Afghanistan forever and ever, amen. And when you asked me the other day about, well, what is an occupying force? I told you, think Japan.
Think longer than 20 years, yeah.
Think Germany. I mean, we are still in those countries with military security troops to this day. And so if that's not the objective, if the objective isn't to be an occupying force, then once you obtain your objective, you leave. Otherwise, you end up in protracted events.
Captain Anthony Barnes, thank you so much for this insight and this perspective. And Georgia, thank you for staying with me for this half hour as we unpack this. There's so many. There are layers and layers and layers. And Captain Barnes, you and I know we probably only scratched 10% of the conversations that we had behind the scenes. But this is going to be an ongoing situation, and we'd love to have you back to discuss this more.
Anytime, sir. Thank you so much for inviting me.
The pleasure is ours. Georgia Fort, thank you so much for all of your work.
Thank you.
Georgia, great seeing you again.
Likewise, Captain Barnes.
We'll be back right after this.
All right, y'all, make sure that you stay tuned. Shout out to Captain Barnes. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And thank you for Georgia Fort for staying tuned and staying in as well, too. Y'all, make sure that you stay tuned. Shout out to the brother Chuck Diesel once again, who turned 55 years old today. Shout out Chuck. He wants to tuck in some love. What you can do is brother Chuck Diesel's I'm coming, y'all. I'm coming. I'm trying to get here. $sign Chuck Diesel 9. $Chuck Diesel 9, man. Some love. Happy birthday again, brother Chuck Diesel. Good morning. Make sure that you stay tuned. It's coming up next, so stay tuned, y'all.
It's all a bluff.
Shout out Patricia Street the Dragon in the building. Good morning, Lisa Noel, Chuck D. Once again, the building. What's going on, Shane? E. Smith, S. Shay, what's going on? Tasia, what's going on? Courtney, Courtney, the SLP. Hey, Brother Lateef, good morning. Good morning, good morning. On and goes Dragon D-So, good morning. Patricia, good morning. Jessica, good morning. Veronica, Savage Sweetheart, good morning. Sister, we missed you at the party. Let's see. Who am I missing? Mark, good morning. Kurt Diglett, FC, good morning. Laura, Estrada, good morning. Absolute, good morning. Who else we missing? Derek Fuller, good morning. Tasia, good morning. Good morning. Jacob, good morning. It probably is. This mic has been giving me crap this morning, and I hate it. Smart ass, right? Good morning.
Sticks and stones may break my bone, but you
might need Michael.
No, you just can't hurt me. No.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning, I've been wrong, and it still can't hurt me. No, it just can't hurt me. No.
And if you didn't hear, Chuck Diesel's birthday is this morning, y'all. Happy birthday again for the Chuck Diesel. $, Chuck Diesel 9. $, Chuck Diesel 9. Y'all bless the brother. Say, man, happy birthday, brother.
And it's easy being petty. My mama used to tell me, gotta use you when he ready. Man, it's crazy how my brother said he could have been my celly. It's either prison or a grave. That's what everybody tell me. Man, life ain't a beach, it's a female dog. I'm staying 10 toes down, though I still might fall. Oh, yeah, now I done came.
Brenda Johnson, good morning, Brenda.
People who persecute you, so be a light up on my path and a lamp under my feet. I know my faith strong, but my flesh still kinda weak. When that victory be looking like the verge of defeat, and I feel like disrespect, help me turn my other cheek and say sticks and stones may break my bone, but your words can't hurt me. No, you just can't hurt me. No.
Keegan, good morning, Keegan. Anna Hart, good morning.
I've been wrong, and it still can't hurt me.
Good morning, Marta City.
No, it just can't hurt me. No. No, you just can't hurt me. No, you just can't hurt me. No, no, no. No, you just can't hurt me. No, you just can't hurt me. No.
All right, we're going to get started here momentarily. I think everybody's ready to go. But before we do, yesterday I saw a guy spill all his Scrabble letters on the road. I asked him, what's the word on the street? Love y'all, meaning happy birthday, Chuck Dixon. That was just for you. Welcome to the screen, my brother from another mother, Benjamin Dixon. Y'all, let's get it. Let's go.
Oh man! Also joining us on the screen is brother Pascal from the Pascal Show.
What's up, y'all?
How you doing, brother?
Good morning, man. I'm good.
Pascal,
I'm good.
That was just for you.
I know. I was going to say, but you know, what is the word on the street, though?
What is the word on the street?
Word
the same.
On the street. Bird, bird's the word.
You know. I just realized we got 3 bald, bearded men.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
On the screen. Yeah,
it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. Listen, brother Pascal. Listen, thank you so much for coming back to the show so quickly.
Anytime.
We just had you on Friday, and
right.
Was it? I've lost. It has been an eventful weekend on the international stage. Haiti suffered a massive earthquake and a tsunami. The last report I got was some 1,000 people have been confirmed dead, and that's just the beginning of it. Rebecca Azor is obviously, she's going to join us a little bit later. But Pascal, you're Haitian and you are a human being. You've seen these images. I wanted you to come on, and we're trying to balance the reality of what's going on, also with the fact that there's a lot of people that are hurting that could actually use our services to help them find some way to have some peace in the midst of all the stuff that's happening on the international stage. So thank you, Pascal, for coming on to discuss this with us.
Anytime, man. Anytime. I got a lot of family out there right now. I'd say over the past 10 years, a lot of people have moved outside of the country, found refuge elsewhere, but I still do have a lot of extended family out there. I guess we could talk about it now. I mean, I feel bad like getting started off like this. You know what I'm saying? But on some,
I mean, wherever, I'll be honest with you, man, brother, wherever your heart is leading you, because I don't want to. We may not. There are enough networks covering the disaster side of it, so that might not be what we need to do. But I want to yield to you. We'll follow your lead.
Well, I mean, as of yesterday, yesterday when I posted about it, over 300 people were gone. 300 souls were lost. Now it's about 1,300 souls have been lost due to this earthquake. Over thousands and thousands of people have been injured. I lost a family member as well.
So sorry, brother. I'm so sorry.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. But then I also, luckily, I have an older aunt who's about like 91 years old, and she got injured during the earthquake. She was just trying to get out, and she's 91 years old. But some debris fell on her leg. She broke her leg. But that's all I know so far. I mean, they're still digging. They're still trying to rescue people. And that's only on one side of my family, by the way. So I have a whole other side that I haven't heard anything about as of yet. So my fingers are crossed, and, I'm checking in on my family every single day just to see what's going on. Every single hour just to see if there's any updates, any more news and all that. Because like I said, we're still waiting to hear something. And I mean, as you can see the images, I mean, these images are just ridiculous, heartbreaking and devastating. And, what's very frustrating to me is that Haiti just can't take a break. It just can't catch a break. You know what I'm saying? It's the assassination of the president. It's other natural disasters like this that keep blasting through Haiti. And for me, it's just like, man, I just want to have a moment where Haiti is just happy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where it's just heaven on Haiti's on Haiti's soil. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
This kind of stuff is just, oh man, I didn't even see that one. That just breaks my heart. But I mean, it's just it sucks.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It sucks right now. You know what I mean?
It's a lot.
So, yeah.
Well, brother, we're praying for you, and obviously Rebecca. We've been in touch nonstop with Rebecca, and we're praying for the people of Haiti. You're right. I mean, from colonialism down to today, Haiti can't catch a break. But Doc, we're going to have to turn that around, man. I just feel like the moral arc of the universe owes Haiti one. Haiti deserves a period of peace and prosperity for the foreseeable future, and I don't think we should just leave that up to chance. I think people of good faith, especially black people of good faith, need to make sure that the money that is raised this time around goes to Haiti and not to the Red Cross, and that the houses that are supposed to be built get built, and that the resources that have been poured into or for the purposes of helping Haiti since the 2010 earthquake, we need to make sure that don't happen again, because one of the ways Haiti can be blessed is if we stop exploiting it.
No doubt. And it's funny because we're now at the place right now where it's what else can any country exploit out of Haiti. I mean, every single natural resource has been bled out of that country. So what else can you take out of that country? What else? You know? And it's frustrating. It angers me so much. And I think that's the reason why I have my own personal feelings towards the Clintons, for example. That's just like one small example of how much Haiti has been looking for refuge or rescue or help, support. And I mean, still to this day, they're still waiting for those kinds of resources.
That's right.
And still nothing. We'll put in troops in there all day long. Put our, America will put their bootstraps, pull up the bootstraps, show up, go down there, make their presence known, but do nothing for the people of Haiti. And it's frustrating. It's a very frustrating thing. And then when you have something like this, a disaster like this, it's just terrible. And the fact that even after this disaster, you're going to still sit here and you're still going to sit and wonder, oh, where are they going to find the money? Right. In America, it's so easy for us to have fundraisers or for FEMA or anything else, any other kind of organization, Red Cross, swoop in and do what they need to do. There's always resources to rebuild, say like New Orleans or something like that, But when it comes to something like this, where it is a country that just never, ever really truly catches a break, why does it take so long to find the resources to help that country rebuild, to help the people that are truly in need? That's what's so frustrating about this whole thing. And then now they got 2 tropical storms coming in. I think it's like Grace and Frankie and Grace, something like that. I'm like, why they? Yeah, like it's just like I said, it's just bang. It's like it's just a triple whammy, to the point where I feel like other countries look at Haiti and they just throw up their hands and go, "Well, I'm done," and just walk off.
Wow.
But there is something I do want to point out. There is a Haiti disaster relief that is available. There are people who are trying to donate, because there are things like non-perishable foods, clothing, and household items as well that that they need. There is need for even something as small and as simple as deodorant, soap, items for baby items, etc. Extra hands out there to dig through this rubble, to find hopefully survivors of this earthquake. There are so many other things that they need other than just financial right now, that I hope everybody steps up to the plate and does what they need to do.
Wow. Well, we're going to discuss this more when, of course, well, for the rest of the week. And when Rebecca Azor comes, your show starts in about 30, 40 minutes, man. So I really do thank you for coming on and kicking it with us this morning to discuss this. That's just a lot of, man. I'm tired. I know y'all are tired. Haiti's tired. There's just too much going on, man. Can humanity get a break? Can we all just get a mental health day? Can we get a mental health month where we seriously don't have people trying to kill us by sending us out to kill our kids, by sending us into the pandemic? The Taliban, taking back over control of Afghanistan. The women judges there, their lives are at risk because the Taliban is what it is. And now Haiti, we see everything that's happening in Haiti just after the assassination of the president there. I just really wish we could get just everybody, can we get a respite for a second? And the answer is obviously no, because, well, everybody has their agenda. Everybody is trying to get their thing accomplished. And at the end of the day, it leaves so many people traumatized that I got nothing.
Like Alicia just said in the chat, climate is effed. So until we get climate change under control, these things are going to happen like this. Natural disasters is going to be worse and worse. Man. But yet climate change is not a thing. I digress.
It's coming around to bite us in the ass too. I forgot about that. Thanks. Who was that in the comment section that reminded me of the looming terror of all the stuff that's happening around us? I would love to be able to command and say, somebody tell me, hey, James, you have dad jokes. Give us something that will help us. Maybe a musical break. Maybe we need to take 5 and take a music break, because I got nothing else to say. Between the 3 stories that we covered this morning, I'm done. And I think everybody should really kind of just self-care is going to be so important right now, because Pascal, what do you do in a vulnerable situation when you don't have the ability to change these things? When the crisis is immediate, the number of kids who are going, I just saw my neighbor. I went out and took a break on the break, and I saw my neighbor loading up her kids, sending them to school. In the back of my mind, I'm like, them babies, those poor babies. We can't do nothing about it in a sense. What do we do?
I don't know. I guess we pray.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing, Pascal.
MC Hammer, you know what I'm saying? That's why we pray, just to make it today. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, throwback. But you know what I mean? I feel like that's the only thing we can do. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing else. Like, I feel like we're in that place right now where no matter what, we're going to be getting hit with curveballs. I feel like, you know what I'm saying? Don't you notice, like, anytime something really good's going on in your corner of the world, something effed up happens over here with like the friend or the extended something or another, or whole ass country. Then it's like, oh, okay, you know, wow. I was really enjoying my, like, man, you know, won't he do it? You know, step back, kiss myself 17 times, and now this is happening. Damn. Right. You know what I'm saying? So at some point you just go, man, I just need to pray. Just sit back and just pray. You know what I mean? Even though you're not a God-fearing person, I'm not sitting here saying that, but you know what I'm saying. Woo-side.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Woo-side out. And then what's going to happen next is, you think about how worse can it get? Aliens going to come get us, y'all. That's what's going to happen. Look, just prep me,
tell you. If the aliens pull up, I'm jumping on. I'm jumping
on too, bro. Go on first.
if the
beam
aliens
me up,
pull up,
Scotty.
Beam me up. Take me away from this, because Earth is ghetto. All right, so Earth is ghetto as hell. David just shared a video with us talking about climate change, and there's a video. I don't know if we have it yet, but how much do you talk about climate change, Pascal? Because I don't talk about it enough, and we're starting, but because of the impact it has on Black communities, like the disparity between people who are impoverished and the impact of climate change on them, I think it's mandatory that we cover it on a regular basis.
You know what? We talk about it. It's sprinkled in, man. Like, it's just peppered in, honestly. So, I mean,
same for us. Same for us. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that needs to be talked about without a shadow of a doubt. I guess I just keep thinking that the people who listen to the show, I guess that's just me being completely, what's the word? Closed-minded on this idea. But I just keep thinking that people automatically know.
That's right.
The Earth is talking right now more than ever before.
More than ever.
I mean, we had one of the hottest summers. We had the hottest temperatures in July alone ever in the world, ever in history.
In the history.
In the history of the world, because of global warming. But you know, I know that there's a lot of naysayers out here. But I'm like, look at what we're seeing. Look at what the world is doing. The world is on fire, literally. You know, there are literally lavas coming. Eruptions going on in Iceland right now, of all things. Just a continuous flow of lava is just coming out of the grounds in Iceland. I'm not kidding. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was something like a fire going on in the ocean, in the middle of the ocean a few weeks ago. I mean, I was
oil
waiting for
thing,
to hop out. Yeah. Right. You know what I mean? Like, there's all these crazy things that are going on. And then people will sit back. All these naysayers will sit back and go, no, that's just nature being nature. No, that's nature being mad. That's nature saying, yo, bruh, what you doing to me, man? You know what I mean?
Have y'all seen?
You know what I'm saying?
Have y'all seen that Mark Wahlberg movie? Oh my gosh!
Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me.
You already know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Yes, I've been thinking about it
because it's just The Happening, and it just came on over this weekend, and it's just like y'all.
Trash.
I've been thinking about that.
Do I need to say anything else? I don't need to say nothing else.
You don't, because I didn't want to bring it up because that's how they acting, ain't it? So for those of you who don't know, James, give it to him because all three of us knew immediately when you said Mark Wahlberg movie. We knew what you were talking about because I've been quietly thinking about that movie every single day. I see these sociopaths try to send us out into this pandemic. It's like they have lost all sense of self-preservation. Tell the audience real quick about that movie.
Damn the sociopaths, just Earth taking back over. What you talking about? But anyway, the movie is about nature restarting itself and trying to reset the planet. And when it takes over, it just puts a thought in your head and you just stop and you try to kill yourself. That's the movie in a nutshell.
You lose all sense of self-preservation. You crash your car, you jump off a building, you go into a school without a mask, you go into, like, I think the best way to understand what's happening right now is nature has made these people as suicidal as that movie because the behavior pattern suggests
talking about the people.
I'm talking about I'm talking about both. Like I'm
talking about Earth has made the different variants of coronavirus. They just started earthquakes, lava flows, volcanoes, fires burning for months. Come on, man. Everything's affecting people. Man. Earth is doing what Earth is need to do to reset itself and get its ass back together.
Get it together.
Hate to say it like that, but
get it together or leave it alone.
I'll say this: God forbid we have to run away from like Mark Wahlberg did in that movie. He's running away from He's running away from the wind. How do you? I'm sorry, but at the same time, hopefully it's not like that because that's scary as hell. He's like the trees and everything in this movie. Sorry, movie's trash, but the concept.
The movie is bad, but the concept is true.
Terrible.
It feels like we're living in that concept right now.
Yes, yeah. So I
but it gave a lot of people anxiety in the chat.
Is it inappropriate for us to play Earth Light 'Em Up at this point? Because
I was thinking about it. It's queued up, but
no, he was already there, man.
Queued up, but I'm just like, is it appropriate? It's like I don't know. Never mind. I don't know. I don't know.
It's too late now. We're gonna have to play it because we both called for it. Pascal, we're gonna let you get out of here, man. We know you got to get your show is coming up in about half an hour. We want you to be. Where should people come to watch your show as soon as they leave our show? They're gonna come to your channel. Where is that?
Yes, it is youtube.com/The Pascal Show, PASCAL Show, The Pascal Show, and come on over after this show. Okay.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Come on over. Yeah. I mean, maybe y'all can sneak over maybe 5 minutes early, but make sure everybody goes over to support this brother. He does amazing, phenomenal work. Pascal, thanks so much for joining us to discuss Haiti and helping us do it. And we're definitely lifting you up, man, and your family, man. We pray all is going to be well.
Many thanks. And I'll be seeing you guys like later this week. I'll be seeing you guys later this week. So looking forward to coming back on and annoying the hell out of y'all. Okay.
We appreciate it. We need it right about now, brother. We appreciate it. James, DJ Exclusive, it's in your hands. When we come back, like it or not, with Rebecca Azor, we'll be back after this.
Let's get it. Pascal, thank you so much again. Before you get out of here, I got another joke for you. A woman in labor suddenly shouted, shouldn't, wouldn't, couldn't, didn't, can't. Don't worry, she said. Don't worry, said the doc. It's contractions. Love y'all, mean each other. That was pretty terrible. I gotta say that was terrible myself. Good morning, mom and daddy. Good morning, mom and daddy. Love you. Ear Hustler said, throwing these bricks dead at your knees, Bubba. With love. Damn. Ooh, according to the SLP, I think I can do that for you. Mark, yes, sir.
I never switch sides, like even when I die, I'm a ride for the squad.
Sweetheart, don't do me like that.
I've been on the vibe, kind of hard to describe.
Raynette Williams, I love you too.
Then I come alive in the night.
Alicia, you doing tomatoes? I'll be some whole pasta with it too, please.
Never lied on the rap, got a bag from the way that I write it. Queen looking Tyson, do that ass survive, doing 80 to the house, then I hit her to the sky, change haters.
Rosie Bean, this is Earth Lighted Up by Zadie Roussan, if I'm not mistaken, in Tilden Park. And they have a video for us, so look it up. Earth Light It Up. Earth Light It Up.
From my lips feel big from the bit, take a sip till I pass out. Try and get grip, but it don't make sense.
Oh, Tiger, now I have to go find it.
Yeah, turn thoughts to a cash cow. I might flip that to the glass house. I don't need the accolades, I'm in love with the chase. I just wanna eat, save a spot at the table. Beats with the slap, pin myself on the map. Long with the wind, but we knowing that it's cap. 5-hour flights, couple nights at the flat. To be real, couldn't see me making moves while I'm at. I'm still on the grind, limit time when I chat. Burning down sage, keep
thank you, David.
When I write it, give a piece of myself to the page. I don't do it for the praise, love, that's just how I'm made.
From the glass in the mirror, do it at me, old man, tryna pass in the fear. You're the first one to talk, but the last one to hear. Eyes blurry, but I couldn't see that, and he cleared down. Start to feel like I'm on one.
Shout out Chuck Deese. Chuck Deese said this is the song off for you, brother Chuck.
For the cash,
I can do something real quick. Let me read these super chats real quick, y'all. Law Strada, thank you for your super chats. He says, you all are what's good in this world. Together we can make change. We are a global family. Amen, Lord. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate you. Let's see, I got some other ones as well, too. Rex Trek sent us a couple of super chats. Thank you, Rex Trek. Said the money spent on Afghanistan could have ended homelessness in America and given every American universal health care. Where is the trillions plus one? Amen. Jam tune. Oh, actually, a couple of them. Let's see. Lawsuit on Twitch said, Brother Malcolm X told us about this. We really need to come together as humans and set this shit right. Exactly, Lawsuit. Oh, my gosh. Shout out. Jam Tune. I can clip my sanitizer mask spray steam. If anyone wants to know how to make a super simple mask spray that makes it easier to breathe in them and offers a bit of sanitation as well. Oh. Jam Tune, make sure you share that, please. All right, man. Brother Chuck Deese's birthday is today, so I'm going to play something for 1 quick second. When I tell y'all it's going to be... Oh, man. I forgot that I'm on a different computer. So I can't play it from this computer. But it's okay. We were going to get banned for playing it, I'm sure. Okay? Ben, shut up, bro.
I'm a little bit naughty. I'm a little bit too consumed, but every part of my body.
Nat, hey, good morning, sister. Justice Draconis, good morning.
Come a little bit closer. Yeah, yeah. Come a little bit closer. Yeah. You're a little bit crazy. It's been days, but you never change. What's love got to do with it? He comes around, better knock that stuff down. Come a little bit closer.
Ha! Thank you, Tiger. When is a joke a dad joke?
Yeah.
When it's a full
all my ladies who got a brother that doesn't treat them right. Put your finger right in his face and tell that man bye-bye. I'm too fly.
It took me a minute to get it because I'm just like, wait.
Bye-bye. 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 You're a little bit selfish.
Y'all welcome back to the screen, Brother B and
Can't take me with you. I'm scared you're gonna blow your fuse.
I'm pretty agnostic when it comes to the dad jokes because I appreciate them, but they're so horrible. I love them, but they're painful. They're funny, but they're horrible.
Extremely painful.
It reminds me of my nephew's dad joke. It wasn't a dad, it was a kid joke. Dad jokes are basically kid jokes. And he said, why did the boy throw the butter out of the window? Because he wanted to see the butterfly. All right, that's the only dad joke you're gonna ever get. Let's go with some Black Joy clips. Guys, folks, non-gender conforming individual, I'm not doing good. I'm just burned with the it's so hard to have peace and security and joy. So let's see if we can reset ourselves. We got a couple of Black Joy clips. I don't know what they are. James, do you know what they are? Can you introduce them? If not, we can just let them play.
I do not. These I did not drop. I don't think. Who knows?
I don't know them either. But he said they say that they're Black Joy.
Both are his.
And, so they're both. They might be one of the ones you've been dropping, but they weren't picking up. They could be those. So
could be not.
Let's see what we got in the tank. Let's play some Black Joy.
Yeah.
Come on.
The line is hanging in the child line.
Hey, we lucky we got
Yeah.
They were going off though.
Yes, that was good. That was the most controversial line. Is what's that line? Hanging in the child line. Ain't nobody know what they were saying right there.
Hanging in the jiving, right? I think it's hanging in
the child line.
Is it hanging in the child line?
Yeah, it is. Who brought it to the attention was Dave Chappelle when he did that game show skit, and it was just like, wait, hanging in the child line. It was like hanging in the driving. What? No, that's not what he said.
I always thought it was hanging in the jiving. I thought it was like, okay. You'd be making up words, putting stuff in there. I was like, okay.
Right.
What'd you say, Dwayne? What was that, Dwayne?
I was going to say, Ben, you was like the dude from the skit he was talking about that was just making up their own words.
I mean, but it does make sense. Hanging in a jiving. Good. I don't know. For the 60s,
hanging
it makes
in a
sense.
jiving?
For the 60s, I mean, come on. They said jive turkey on the show 100 dozen times. So, of course, I'm going to think they say jive.
Ben said the 60s, Dwayne. You know, Good Times came out in the 70s.
I know.
Right?
I'm just saying. I know.
Jive turkey.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. It feels like, as far as I'm concerned, it could have came out in the 50s because I didn't see it until it was on Good and Repeat. Matter of fact, James, because we're going to go to the next Black Joy, but you said something during the interview with Captain Barnes. You were like, man, we've been in Afghanistan since we were in college.
Oh, yeah. Like, Ben, I still remember to this day where I was when 9/11 happened. I was actually on the way, and this is funny, man. I was on the way to drop off my application for housing. So once I listened to the radio, every time I got in the car, I turned my little CD player on, just listen to the CD player. Then I'm just going to the place, come back, everything is closed. I'm like, what's going on? Then Jeremy calls me. And Jeremy was like, bro, did you man, yeah, you good? Like, yeah, I'm good. What's going on? He was like, no, man, just chilling. Like, you saw what's been going on? Like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. So by the time I got back to the dorm room, I turned on the TV just in time to see the second tower fall. And I'm just like, so what is this? Did the plane just mistakenly did they get lost? I don't know what's going on at this point. So then that's when everything is like a terrorist. I'm like, I can't believe this is happening right now.
Yeah.
So still remember to this day. And then of course, days after, that's when they started just sending troops. And since then, we have been over there the whole time. Like I said, I was in college, bro.
College. I was in college. Not a grade to be seen. I was in it's just amazing how long we can. But then when I was talking to Captain Barnes yesterday, he said, Ben, I want you to really think about it though. 20 years is a long time for us to be in Afghanistan. He said, but we're still in Korea. We're still in Japan.
Wow.
We're still in Germany.
Yeah.
I was like, well, damn, now I feel even more depressed. Let's go to the next Black Joy piece of content.
This is how we used to dance in the 80s. Jesus Christ. Y'all think we wild dance like we dance now?
Bro, what are they doing in this video?
What is going on in
It
this?
almost looked like a mosh pit.
Right. They look like they battling against each other. When I first saw them, I'm like, oh, they battling.
Bro.
And you see the little the Karens back there trying to get it.
I was gonna say, this is why you can't invite everybody to the cookout, man. You cannot be invited. Some people get a little too aggressive. They think they see mud and grass and they think it's a mosh pit instead of a family reunion. You got to be careful inviting these Karens to the cookouts, man. Bro, what was the Karen humping that sister, that black woman for? I just didn't see the rhythm pattern syncopating right. It was just a little strange dancing that was happening in that video. But I guess
they try to, you know.
What is she doing in the blue? What is she?
It's funny because I saw this thing online the other day that said, and forgive me, white people that's watching, but it said that white people just dance like that because they don't care if they on beat or not. They just out there having a good time.
They have the time of their life.
And black people need to take notes because we be out there too worried about what other people gonna say about us dancing instead of just.
Did we get the step?
Yeah.
You missed the dip. Brother, you missed the dip. We over there, and the white folks just over there just throwing their hair everywhere.
Right.
Like, they don't give zero F's, bro. They just be getting it. No, look at the white girl. Look at her.
She bumping it. That's assault. That is assault and battery. That is not dancing. That is assault. Why they look like? Why they remind me of the Charlie Brown cartoon characters when they be dancing like? Somebody should put the Charlie Brown music. Mark from Australia, man. I don't know if you do audio, but somebody grab that clip and put the Charlie Brown music to it. I guarantee it fits perfect.
Hey, I did one with from that clip, and I forgot one of those songs came out. It was a remix song, and when I tell you it fit perfectly with it, I'm gonna have to find that crap, dude.
Shay on YouTube said it wasn't assault and battery; it was assault and butt. All right, moving on to the next story, because in my attempt to not fall into a depression over what's happening on the international stage, we have now come to the stage where we're having butt jokes. So that means we need to find another story to move on to. I do want to say one more thing about Haiti, and I know Rebecca, her family is they actually have blood relatives that are in Haiti. And I've been encouraging Rebecca, if you need to come on and talk about it, by all means, come on and talk about it. If you need to not talk about it, please, don't, because it's a lot. It's a lot. And I think we're going to all have to really take into consideration the necessity to unplug from the news feed. The news feeds are really going to take its toll on us this week because of the nature of all the stories, man. So, James, thank you also for just consistently bringing that joy.
Anytime, man. I do what I can do.
Yeah. I want to play a clip of Cori Bush, and she is talking about what's happening in Afghanistan. I want to bring Afghanistan back into the conversation. That is 24. Or it's a tweet, rather. It's a tweet from her. And she's discussing the need for us as the American people to bring refugees here from Afghanistan. One of the number one things that we do as an American empire is we destabilize a region. Like Captain Barnes says, we are good at breaking stuff. We could break it, but we don't build well. And so what happens when we leave? Once America goes and we send our troops and we break stuff and we accomplish our mission or we don't accomplish our mission, what happens to all the people that are left there? Well, generally speaking, we abandon them. We just leave them. We leave them for dead. We're doing that in Afghanistan now. We did that to the Kurdish troops in northern Syria during the Trump administration. I mean, we have a propensity to just abandon the people for whose nation we destabilize. But this is from Cori Bush. She said, "Our work is to save lives." This is Congresswoman from St. Louis. She said, "Whether it's Afghanistan, Haiti, Lebanon, or communities facing extreme hardship worldwide, one thing that we could do to save lives right now is become a country that welcomes more refugees with open arms. Refugees must be welcomed here." Thank you, Congresswoman Bush.
Absolutely.
Because we shouldn't be there in the first place. But the bare minimum we can do is to alleviate the humanitarian crisis that we created by allowing refugees and not having this bigoted look towards the very people whose situation is caused by our American imperialism. So shout out to Cori Bush for bringing attention to that. So,
That's real.
All right, man. James, what do you want to do, man? Because I honestly, I'm looking for an excuse to call it early today. I really don't want to keep us plugged in to these stories because those are the 3 stories. Anything else outside of that, I don't really want to cover because between our kids having to go to going to school with COVID-19, I'm actually about to unplug and organize locally. And I want to encourage everyone. One thing that you can do is to organize locally for the protection of your own children. Homeschool pods. That's what we're organizing locally in our neighborhood. We are teaming up with other parents who have the same kind of concern that we have, that have the same type of, they've gotten the vaccine and they have the same type of quarantine protocols. We're looking to team up with other parents in our neighborhood to create vaccine safe pods so that we can homeschool our own kids and not be forced to send our kids back into the public school system where they are catching COVID-19. So that's what I'm going to be doing with the rest of my day and my week as I intentionally unplug from Twitter because I just don't need to see. I'm sorry, Jen, I just don't need to see this on the timeline all day today.
Yeah, unfortunately, I hate to say it. You already know what I'm going to say. Used to it. So very desensitized. Very much desensitized. Hate what's going on in Haiti, hate what's going on in Afghanistan. But, Afghanistan is one of those things, it's like you pulled those troops out. Yes. And somebody made a comment earlier today once I was waking up and getting ready and everything. Excuse me. Made the comment of United States has been over there for 20 plus years, trained these troops to do what they needed to do to protect their country and protect this city. And just in a matter of days, it just all went away. Yeah. And the statement that he made, I was like, Jesus, you just kind of crushed their soul. He's just like, y'all didn't want to defend y'all country. Like, damn.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, there are right now in the American discourse, there are so many different takes that are happening around what's going on in Afghanistan. And one of them does include, listen, because the fact of the matter is that we did equip to the tune of between 75,000 and 300,000 Afghani police forces. We equipped them with money and weapons. And as soon as the Taliban came in, they did put down their weapons. Here's a difference that we did not, and Captain Barnes knows this, and all of us know this. We didn't get a chance to get to it today. You got to understand the difference between, and this is something Brother Mac actually said, the difference between a mercenary and a martyr. Those armed forces that the American people, or the American taxpayer were paying for in Afghanistan, they were paid. Those guys in the Taliban, whatever you believe about them, they believe what they believe all the way to death. So there's a difference. Somebody who's getting a check to fight something and somebody who's willing to fight to the death, there's an imbalance. So I honestly, America's surprised that they dropped their weapons and ran, but ain't no check big enough for me to run up on somebody who's got a death wish. That's
who's willing to die for it. Yes, Ben. Absolutely right. Yeah. You're absolutely right, brother.
Yeah, you can have my gun. I'm going. Where I'm going? Where? Who uniform? So I don't put a whole lot of. I don't do a whole lot of shaming of those guys because I don't believe in the whole hubris. The hubris of dying valiantly. I couldn't get the valiant death of a warrior. I don't really subscribe to that too much. It is in all of us, but I certainly don't subscribe to being paid to go out and die for anybody's cause. And so that's the difference I think you see between the Afghani forces that were being funded by the United States versus the Taliban. And you got to think also, this is 20 years later. How many of these current fighters in the Taliban saw their cousins killed by American forces in Afghanistan?
Absolutely.
How many of them saw their fathers killed? How many of them saw their sisters and their wives killed? So you got to understand the Taliban is fighting with a different kind of oomph behind them than those troops that were being funded by the United States of America. I see Sister Rebecca Azor on the screen. How you doing, sis?
My mic muted though. I just looked and all I saw was the poof. I'm like, come on.
I didn't even know. I didn't get the. Nobody told me I was going to be on the screen yet.
That's because Dwayne just
Yeah. So
y'all got to work that out to y'all. How are you, sis?
Right.
We're covering all kinds of stuff, but glad to have you this morning. How you holding up?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be okay. It's a lot. I'm just so exhausted. Since like a lot of this stuff has to go through me as far as, let me first start by saying like the earthquake that happened affected me directly with my family. Sorry, Dwayne, because I just moved out of frame. But with my family being from that specific area, again, because the first one, my mother's side, the 2010 earthquake, my mother's side was affected gravely. And this one that happened on Saturday, my father's side, pretty much my whole family on that side, who lives in Jérémie, Haiti, which is the southern part of Haiti. It was affected gravely. So I just kind of been trying to keep it together for my dad, providing him with as much information as possible. We spent the whole day Saturday looking for family. We couldn't get a hold of them. And that was pretty tough. So having to call people, be a translator, all those kind of things. Got in touch with most of them. Still some are unaccounted for. And we kind of are a little worried because the death toll is rising. Again, Saturday, there was an earthquake in Haiti, in the southern parts of Haiti. It was a magnitude 7.2 earthquake, which was more than which was a higher magnitude than the 2010 earthquake, which was 7.0. And this one was 7.2 earthquake in Haiti. And this again happened on Saturday. A lot of people were displaced. A lot of people are yet to be found. A lot of people stuck under rubble. There have been rescue efforts by the locals, people who are injured themselves, trying to help themselves. The bridge to cross over into Jérémie, because to cross over into the southern part of Haiti from the city is more so you either got to take that bridge or take it by boat. That bridge is totally demolished now. So a lot of, at the time, a lot of care couldn't get to the people that were stuck there. So it's been a lot. So the death toll started around something like 29 when they first started reporting it in American media. But us, we already knew because the people on the ground can see what's going on.
That's right.
And so now the death toll has risen to over 1,000. So, and there is a possible tropical storm approaching. So if you ask me how I'm doing, all I can say is I'm going to be fine. Don't know when, but it's really, really tough having to tell your family, the ones that you can speak to go towards the mountain. They're already displaced, but then they already live in the mountains for that particular part of Haiti. To go towards the mountains just in case, because they're still worried about a possible tsunami because the receding of the water, which the tsunami.org had actually canceled the warning, but they're worried. They're just worried. And then there is, like I said, a tropical storm that's supposed to be approaching. So right now, it's about to be 3,000 people who are injured, but I'm pretty sure it's more. Like, it's just numbers. These right now are just numbers, but there's a lot that's happening. So tonight, which is Monday, Tropical Storm Grace is set to touch down. So the people that are displaced and can't get any assistance and can't get any help will be possibly just outside for this storm. And this actually happened near the earthquake that happened. There was a storm after that too. So a lot of this is like a repeat, but I want people to understand, so there's a few things I need to just point out because there's so much happening. I know that I already touched on this a little bit on Saturday because Reuters had posted a story exactly maybe moments after the earthquake. And the first thing that they put out was the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. And I had to just kind of stop for a moment and let them know. And the woman who reposted it, who actually is works in something, whatever, doesn't matter, it's reposted, right? These aren't the things that we should be reposting to anybody. And I say this because the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, they've been, especially in American media, using that to describe us.
Right.
And it is something that that's not only that is the poorest country in the world. What else, right? And I say stick to the story, because the story is there is an earthquake, 7.2 magnitude earthquake that hit Haiti. Haiti is a island country. It's a country of people. People are affected there. Let's talk about how many people are affected. Let's talk about what this means for the country right now, because this is going to be another financial hit. This is going to be something that is going to be another triggering thing that happens for the people of Haiti because of what happened in 2010. Let's talk about how the spiral of possible people who are going to get online and utilize a hashtag to collect money under the premise of helping Haiti, and none of that money is going to go there. Let's start talking about that and getting people aware of what's going to come about those things. But you guys always, and I say you guys, that's American media, outside European media, those media companies always want to label Haiti as that. I've never seen Haiti labeled as anything but a struggling country, period. And when we talk about America, I could say the most racist country in the world, right? I can say a country that has a large amount of domestic terrorists, right? I could say, all of that. But everybody wants us to call America the land of the beautiful, the land of the free. They're still referring to it as that. And we know that's a lie. Now, for Haiti, it's always diminished while we are already being beat down. It's always diminished to tell our story. But I can't allow that type of media to continue to tell our story, because that's not who we are. Then secondly, for people who are over-religious, that includes people who are Haitian too, we cannot fall into the whole thing. And especially with white folks talking about Haiti, the white evangelists who talk about, and even my pastor had spoke about that, my old pastor, because I no longer go to that church, that Haiti and different parts of Africa are cursed because of how they got their freedom. We cannot stand by that.
Because of how you got your freedom. Yeah,
because of how we got our freedom. And we have to pay for that. They're saying that we called on different spirits to be free, when indeed we called on whatever spirit we needed to call on. Who cares? But we fought that battle. Right. That spirit gave us the strength to win that battle, and we became the first Black free republic, man. And it took hundreds of years for other countries, our neighboring countries, to follow. We were the example. We are the first free Black in the world. Are you guys understanding? And we have to pay for that because of that. That is just what we have to pay for, because we chose our freedom. We chose our freedom instead of being under the thumb of our colonizers. That is the reason. So when we have that conversation too, let's present that. Let's put it all out there. Not the poor. Why? Who did it?
Why?
Who are we still in debt to?
Right.
But right now, let's focus on the story. These are people just like me and you, people who are hurt and affected. Let's talk about that. That's the story. An earthquake hit Haiti. That's the story. So that's what I'm saying. It's are we still doing these 1990s, 1980s, 1970s? What are we doing? Have we not grown from these type of lazy headlines? Have we not grown from that? Have we not? So I can't expect them to speak for me and mine. So I'm going to speak for me and mine. Also, giving, right? Don't give to the Red Cross. That's me personally, my opinion. Don't give to the Red Cross. In 2010, the Red Cross raised up to $500 million, never gave, and probably more than that, to be honest. And that's just the Red Cross. There are other organizations that had made money as well to assist the Haiti after the 2010 earthquake. Six homes reportedly were built from the Red Cross. This is under the Hillary Clinton.
6 homes out of $500 million. 6 homes.
Yeah, and this is from Hillary Clinton and her camp, and so the Clintons and the Red Cross. There's nothing to come of it. They proudly on their website talk about how much they made. For Haiti, that could literally rebuild. That could have rebuilt Port-au-Prince hands down, and gave people at least a little bit of a stipend for the money that's transferred for $500 million to be translated into Haitian money. So I just need them, I just need everybody to understand. I wish I had the answers for you right now, but I'm just in a place. I'm just in a place to really worry about getting some assistance to my own family.
That's right.
Right now. But I wish I had the information to give you guys as far as who to provide to, who to give to in this particular moment. Right now, the people who are displaced can't use physical money at this particular moment. Right now, the efforts are for safety, recovery, getting rescue efforts. That's what we're trying to get to. So my older brother is planning on going out there to tomorrow. We're still in talks about that, how to get him out there, and trying to figure out how he can get like a boat to go across the water to get to them. Because like I said, the bridge is pretty much useless right now. It's rubble. So, and so, we're trying to see how we can get them at least food and clothes and things like that, to see if we can get some over to the city, to see if we can get some help to some of them. Shout out to Cuba, who's been on the ground. Shout out to Cuba.
Cuba be pulling up. There are a lot of
things. They always pull up, especially for the island countries. That's one thing. They pulled up for the United States, even when Donald Trump rejected their help efforts when it came to COVID-19. They still came and stayed until, they saw some changes. But when it comes to Haiti and Cuba, they have a really good relationship. They didn't even hesitate, and they're out there assisting. There are a lot of things that we can question about Cuba, and I do too, especially as an American, especially as for the ones in South Florida. But I can say when it comes to anything that happens in the islands, Cuba is usually on it to assist us. And I really, really, really appreciate that because they were out there trying to provide medical help when America was just like, we don't know. We're going to process. We're going to send people out. We are right behind you guys. We didn't need an answer. We didn't need a question. We didn't need a statement. They just literally came out and assisted and helped. And that's what we call camaraderie. It doesn't matter in this particular moment. People are dying. They need help. People are hurt. People are emotionally stressed. And so I say all of this to say, they just need supplies. They need help being rescued. They need food. They need clothes. They need those kind of things right now until we can figure out how to properly give them money that they can use. Because right now, where are they going to use the money in a place that's pretty much just... they're all displaced. They're outside. They are outside. They are outside. They're scared. There's a storm coming. They're looking for shelter. And this is another time that we're pushed to be resilient. And it's hard, man. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard. It is tough. It is tough because we just... went through dealing with the assassination. And now we got to deal with this. And before that, we had what was going on with the people protesting for years outside. And, it's just really, really tough. It just feels like, and I hate to say it, but we can't catch a break. But every time we're given a break, we can't even process the break. We can't. We can't process the break. And I am just devastated for my people. To hear them screaming, to hear them yelling, to hear people not being able to find certain people, to hear people in shock. It's tough, It's really, really, really hard to just kind of process all of this. My brother wanted me to go over there, but I'm stuck and bound to this job. And I had to talk to them and see if they can even give me a day today because I just need a day to still kind of focus on. I wish I could take it to rest, but I can't. We still got to focus on how we can get help to ours. So I am sleepless. I'm restless. I'm tired, y'all, and I'm emotionally overwhelmed. And then for people here or outside of Haiti, the diaspora, if this is hard for you too, you can take a moment and remove yourself from all of what you're seeing. Take a moment from talking to some family for a little bit just to process it, because we can't be effective if we're not strong enough to handle this stuff. We cannot be effective to help. It's okay, because when you sit this one out to build yourself just emotionally, somebody else is there. You know, we have another person that's there who's helping. And I had to sit down for yesterday morning and just sit in the emotions, because I was just running on I gotta help, I gotta help, I gotta help, that I had to sit and let myself just cry. And I've just been crying just because I'm so tired. I'm just, I don't know. I'm so tired, and I don't want us to have to always be perceived as just a needy community. We didn't ask for an earthquake. We didn't ask for an earthquake. We didn't ask for storms to come our way, literal storms and figuratively speaking. We didn't ask for that. It doesn't make us less of a people. It really doesn't. There's scientific proof that can prove, like, the whatever plates that cause the earthquakes are right underneath us.
Right.
And that's what causes it. So there are a lot of things that we can prove. It's not because God is cursing us. It's not because we deserve this. It's not because we're the poorest country on the Western Hemisphere. It's not any of that. So there are a lot of things that we can say, and we can really, from history, point out the people who have abused us and stripped us, and still come to our country and utilize our rich resources. They want to act like ain't nothing rich over there, but they still utilize our rich resources. And they pay Haitians pennies to a dollar in their own country to work for them. So there's so much things I can really say about that. I'm going to figure out some places where you guys can donate and feel comfortable donating to right now. If you can just donate goods in your local community, wherever you are, try to see if you can do that. That will be better. And for us Haitians, try to donate directly to your family. There's a lot of testimonies about canned goods and stuff being stolen too when we're shipping it off. Money never getting to the people that they need to get to. So that's why we're all trying to figure things out right now, everybody. So if you need to take a break, to all my Haitians, I get it. It's okay. Nobody can tell you where to be right now. If you're taking a break, is you enjoying a day of your vacation that you may be on right now, then do that. Whatever you need to do. If you being on top of it and trying to find out different resolutions and trying to find out different places that are we can offer to other people to give to, then do that. We all have our part in this. And as you can see, I'm just kind of like I'm worn down. My voice is worn down. I'm tired. But I'm gonna keep riding and rocking for my country, like I told y'all every single time. I might sound a little worn down emotionally, because I am. But I'm gonna still keep pushing and just pushing for it to just do what we can, and that's really all I have.
Yeah, Dwayne, bring us all back. Let's do this, guys. We're close enough to the end. We're gonna turn it into the hands of the Minister of Music, DJ exclusive.
Keep me on screen after this. No, sir.
No, just a song. Just a song, at least. At least the song.
You got to unplug. No, sometimes you can't.
Dwayne, throw a music. Throw a song on, and we all gonna get off screen. Then let's just take 5. And listen, I know a lot of people depend on this show, but y'all, we might take a day. We might take a couple days here, because when it hits this close, we need to do what's best for us. So we're going to sign off here. Dwayne, play a song. We're going to all get off the screen. And it is possible that we may take tomorrow off because it is weighing heavy on everybody. It's not set in stone. We haven't discussed it. I'm just mentioning it. And I know a lot of people depend on this show, but y'all need us here for the long run and not for us to burn out. Rebecca, we love you. We're praying for you and your family. Obviously, we're talking off air and anything that we can do. The audience is waiting. And like Rebecca's already said, donate to some canned goods locally. Try to donate to organizations. But she will bring you sometime this week. We're going to get the official organization that we trust, that she trusts, to send money to. In the meantime, don't send none of these people your money because 500 million of it got taken last time. And we're not going to let them do that same thing twice. Not at all. So that's all I got. Rebecca, thank you for being strong enough to come in and say everything that you said. James, thank you for saying you're not going to stay on screen because that's right. Quite right. Let's all get off the screen. And,
sorry, y'all.
And we'll see you.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's right.
Real quick, Rebecca, has anybody heard from the Dominican Republic? It's like each time this happens, it seems like there's nothing said. It's like they're not offering any assistance. I mean, what's going on with them? And I hate to ask this question at the end, but it's been weighing on me since I heard about it. I talked to my mom about the same thing. I'm like, what's going on the other side of the island?
So there's a big separation that happens. It is the same island though. It's just split by like a wall.
Yeah.
Right.
But there is a big separation. There are some people that came over and tried to assist, but most likely they're just living their lives on the other side. And some of them said they didn't even feel it. So, some Jamaicans had reached out to me and told me they felt some trembles, but people in the Dominican Republic are living their life like any other day. We have a lot of Haitians. I have family who lives in the Dominican Republic as well. And a lot of people are just okay living their lives. Just another day. And this is just how the division is on this island that shares like literally the same island. We're just divided. And it's just how it's always been. It's just, so we tend to worry about self. We tend to worry about us and they tend to worry about them. Not to say that there aren't people who are trying to figure out how to assist, but there is a big division that is another story for another day. There's a huge division where they just want nothing to do with us. And that's something that was implanted into them since colonization. So, it's a big divide. And we're the same people. Like I said, I got family who lives there, who comes from there. My dad speaks fluent Spanish. It's the thing. But they separate straight down the line. And so they're just worried about them. I have some Dominican friends who reached out to me, like, hey, everything okay? Just to reach out and check up. But over there's a lot of video of people just saying, damn, that's crazy, and living their life. And what can they do, So we got to worry about us. It's always been that, though. Anything that happens over there, it's always been that. There are another country who say that we, even though we're the same, they say that we put this upon ourselves.
I won't give them another drop of my money going in that island, boy. I swear I won't.
I heard you say that, Rebecca, and we'll deal with that on Wednesday. All these clowns think they have the ability to speak. The curse was white supremacy, colonization, and slavery. That was the curse, and Haiti broke it. Bitches, let's get out of here.
Yeah, I'm out of here. I love you guys.
This is y'all.
when it's all up to us. So let's I know that it's alarming, yeah. 'Cause time is running out, and we can't just stay and